Moving on to Module 6, Proxima Centauri. Before I do, however, I want to jump back to Module 4, Explorations, for a moment and discuss the bounty event. I think I did kind of a poor job of explaining that in some ways. So with the bounty event, player picking that can ascribe or assign the bounty token, and again, recall it's 2 victory points for the bounty token to another player. Now, that bounty token only becomes a factor in player versus player combat that occurs after that player has acquired that bounty token. If that player gets in an altercation with the Centaurian resistance and loses that battle, that player retains that bounty token. So any other way that they get in any sort of altercation does not count except for player versus player combat. Now, within that player versus player combat, the winner of that next battle after that player has gotten the bounty token is the one who reaps the benefits of the 2 victory points. Now, it can be the player who is fighting the player with the bounty, or it can also be the player with the bounty himself. Right? So if they win that battle of the next altercation, that player with the bounty gets 2 victory points. Module 6, Proxima Centauri. This adds a challenge level of 2 of 5 and does not add any additional time to the game. Okay, so the setup for Module 6, Proxima Centauri, is to basically just replace the center hex that's normally the high console with the star Proxima Centauri. This here is just a 2-player map setup, as you notice, and they're all face up, so I'm not using exploration, right? And then it has the 2 home planets, Inti, which is the Solar Confederation, and then Terra Nova for the Arctic Dominion on the bottom. And then you also notice I have these two new planets with that module surfaced in this around Proxima Centauri over there from the distribution of the tiles. So the first thing to point out with this module is you can no longer pass through the center module. It's no longer a passable tile, so you will always need to go around it, obviously. With the high console tile, you used to be able to go in there and or get additional victory points for being in there at the end of the game. So that's a difference with it. Also to note, any cards that refer to the high console within the game are just to be discarded now if they're picked up. And I found one here. So this one was from Edge of Extinction. It's one of the politics cards. It's basically just called High Console Guards. It's a law, and it talks about the High Console Hex, right? So if you were to pick this, no one would vote on this now because we're using Proxima Centauri. I suppose you can remove those cards ahead of time, but your call. Besides the center hex now being impassable because of the Proxima Centauri star that's there, the other element it adds to the game, to this module, is the adjacent hexes to the center one now take on solar winds. So in and of itself, that does nothing, right? These all act in the same way they would as normal, any of the other hexes on the board. However, if you research the applicable technologies that come with this module, and I'll give you a brief look at those, but basically they give you some enhancements to your shield specifically, so like your defense systems, and then also your weapon systems, if you have researched those applicable technologies. The first of the 2 technologies in the Proxima Centauri module is the Solar Shield Booster. This is 23 CP. What this does is if you're in a hex with the solar winds, a hex affected by the Proxima Centauri star, so the adjacent tiles, you get a +1 shield on each of your ships when you're engaged in combat. The second of the 2 technologies within the module is the solar cannon booster. This is 17 CP. And so with this one, when you're in a hex with the solar winds and engaged in combat, any die roll for the attack of 4 or better are now hits as opposed to just 5 or better. So thinking of this technology in terms of gameplay, so let's set up a hypothetical example. So let's say this raider here remains from a battle that occurred in this hex that's adjacent to Proxima Centauri, and the Arctic Dominion player, the blue player, had researched the solar shield booster. In this example, let's say this player had 1 shield on this ship and took on 2 damage based on that battle and was not destroyed because the 1 shield absorbed the first damage and the second damage was absorbed by the shield booster technology from the solar winds. So this player now effectively has 2 damage and is maintaining the ship because of that. However, if the player were to move out of these adjacent hexes to the star Proxima Centauri, and basically those shield boosters would turn off effectively, that ship can no longer maintain that damage. So it's not in the rules. Maybe it's in a FAQ. I gotta look up updated facts on this, but I just wanted to point that out and kind of get people's thoughts on that. I would think the ship would immediately just get destroyed, so you'd have to more or less repair your damage before moving out of there, which is very doable, right, within your next action. But it's going to take, some of those actions to deal with it. Or you just stay in the perimeter and patrol, I guess. That's possible too. Moving on to Module 7. Jump gates. It's challenge level 1 of 5, and it does not add any additional time. Here's the reference card for the jump gate AH-2. It costs 1 Axinium. Note here that you can only build a maximum of 1, and that's during the build ship action. In addition to that, if any card refers to you gaining a build ship action, you can build 1 of these, unless that card references a specific type of ship. But if it's just a generic, you get a build ship action, then you can build 1 of these. Also to note, each player gets 2 of these maximum. So again, you can build 1 per build ship action, and you have 2 total that you can have in play. So when building jump gates, a player can again build a maximum of 1 during the ship build action. It can be placed, in terms of building, it can be placed on the player's home planet, which in this case is Terra Nova up here, or it can be built where the player has a ship presence. Right? So in this case, I could build a jump gate here for the Arctic Dominion, the blue player, and then for the white player could build one over here during the build ship phase for the Solaris Confederation, the white player. And that's basically it in terms of where you can place these. Another thing to note, a player cannot create multiple jump gates in a hex where that player has an existing jump gate. So that is not possible. However, if later in the game I ended up over here for whatever reason, and now I only have 1 jump gate that exists so far, I could build a jump gate in the same hex that a opposing player has one. If planets are destroyed, or hexes otherwise are destroyed that jump gates exist in, they do not get destroyed, and they can never move. Once they're placed, that's where they're going to reside for the rest of the game. So using the jump gates at the end of the conquest phase, when all's said and done, players can, from any single hex, move the ships in that hex. So let's get a couple in here. The ships in that hex to any of their single jump gates if they choose to. So in this case, the Solaris Confederation could choose to jump over to here at the end of the conquest phase, and the Arctic Dominion can choose from this one single hex, right, to move here if they choose to, or could also move into this hex as well, right, because they have a presence of a jump gate in either of those two. So based on that last jump, that brings up an interesting dilemma here. So the conquest stage is completely over. These players both jumped in here. And again, I should point out, at the end of the conquest stage, it's in reverse turn order that folks jump. So a battle, I believe, would take place in this case. This is an interesting scenario of what would happen there. Although we are past, we're basically at the end of the conquest stage, and that's when this occurs. Post in the comments any experiences you guys have had with this yet, or any thoughts on that. Curious to see what you think. Moving on to Module 8, Communication Satellites. It is a challenge level 1 of 5, and it does not add any additional playtime. So here's the reference for the communication satellite, SU-6. It's 3 CP to purchase. And like the jump gates, you can only purchase a max of 1 per the build ships action. These are considered, these are not considered ships, but are built during the build ship action. So in addition to that, within the action phase of build ships, you can build a max of 1 of these. And then any card that refers to building ships that are not specific to a type of ship, you can build these as well during that. There's a total of 6 communication satellites that each player can have in the game. It's always built on the home planet to start. So in this case, the Arctic Dominion can build one on the home planet Terra Nova. And from there, they, as you build, again, a max of 1 per build ship phase, you have to basically place these adjacent, right, to where you've built your original one. You don't have to have a ship in there. It doesn't state that to build it. It just has to be adjacent to where you built your original one, which always, again, starts on the home planet. So you just string these together however you choose to. What this offers you is any ship that you have within a hex with a communication satellite gives you +1 attack. And also, if you launch a WMD from any planet that has a communication satellite, it gives you +1 distance. So another point to make about the communication satellites is if a planet is destroyed by a WMD that a satellite is on, like most of the other tokens in the game, it does not get destroyed. Right? So it just remains. If a planet is destroyed, the satellite is not affected on that particular hex. Also, other players' communication satellites can exist within your hex as well, or multiple players. So if the Solaris Confederation was building up this way, right, from, it's kind of off screen, but their home planet's down here. So it started on their home planet, and they branched out adjacently across the map. These 2 communication satellites from the 2 different players can exist in the same hex. Also recall that in Module 4, with the wormhole, that will also modify hexes to be adjacent. So for example, if we built our initial communication satellite here, we went into this hex and discovered from an event card a wormhole, and decided to put it, for example, out here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 away, less than 4, right? These 2 are now considered adjacent on the other side of the map, right, with this hex here. So we've started on our home planet, built a communication satellite, made one adjacent here, and this adjacency, moving it way to the other side of the map. Can you see this? Yeah. Now you can. Since these two are now considered adjacent with the wormhole, we do not have to string those communication satellites together since these two hexes are now considered adjacent. And these are, that is the Solaris Confederation. So I'll take those off just to show you. So basically one tile away from my home planet is a wormhole, and then I can jump to the other side of the map with another communication satellite, which in this case is 3 hexes away, but that could be up to 4 hexes away. Alright y'all, thanks for joining. That was Module 6, Proxima Centauri, Module 7, Jump Gates, and Module 8, Communication Satellites. I'll be back real soon to do Module 9, Energy Barriers, and Module 10, Leaders, and then move on to some of the new scenarios and playthroughs, and introduce some of these modules. Take care. Thanks again.